Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on Trinidad Times Television. With me for segment 2 on economic development, H.L. Bowman, Jr. Okay, I don't know if I said junior in the first part because you threw that in there. As I went through, I told you what the questions were going to be when we prepared, so we're going to jump right into this. But the first question, H.L., is what are the most pressing issues facing Trinidad?
Well, I think the most pressing issues are obviously our infrastructure. I think it's come wayside where we're a community that it's, oh, this needs to be fixed now, like an emergency. Only in emergencies are we fixing things. And I think that we need to change that to start heading stuff like that off. Our water line, where we're losing, 40% of our water, that's got to change. We shouldn't be losing water anywhere. Another thing, I think drugs is a big problem in our town, both city and county wise. I think it's something that needs to be addressed. But I think addressing that is addressing, our police officers' pay. We're asking them to do stuff that most people wouldn't do. They need to be compensated. I think those are pressing issues in our community. Our firefighters, same thing. They need to be addressed too. And where the cuts are, or the tax increases, I don't know. I need to look at that budget. I need to look at that stuff. So I'm not real aware of any of that stuff because I actually just got the budget for the city today. Right. So I'm going to review that and look at that stuff, and I could kind of make my own assessment of it. But our infrastructure is a big deal.
Right.
We live in a beautiful town, and if we're asking tourists to come in here, let's set it up so that they can.
Okay. I'm at most of the meetings, if not all. And so let me interject this. This is more of a follow-up question. But there's going to be a 1-cent sales tax for the county. And part of that is going to go to the DA's office for public safety. It's one thing, I'm trying to get your thoughts on this. It's one thing that we have police and that they can make the arrests. But if the DA's office is underfunded and after they make the arrest, they can't follow through. So I just want to interject this and say, okay, so what do you think about that possibility of the 1-cent sales tax? This is an additional question and more of a follow-up. So what do you think about that?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. How many of us could spare a penny?
It's going to be a sales
tax.
tax.
Right, of course.
So.
In terms of speaking, a penny.
Right.
1-cent sales tax. Of course, it's people are going to object to it because it's a tax.
Right.
Everyone's going to object to that. But the thing is we've got to look to our future. We've got to look at our police officers and what they're worth. In our DA's office, same thing.
Right.
We need to start holding people accountable. There's rules and regulations, and they're there for a reason, and they need to be followed. We need to be strong in that. One thing that I've always thought is community service. Why not have a community service officer?
Right.
Where we can start getting stuff done in this town. So you got caught doing this or that, well, guess what? You got 20 hours community service, and you're going to sit under a community service officer. We could clean up the Riverwalk, right. Which people are afraid to walk on right now.
They are. And I'll interject, I'm in favor of it because I agree. It's one thing to have police and have them paid or underpaid, but if we don't have the judicial process to complete
the
it.
System, yeah.
And what people don't realize, and this is my opinion, is we had a 1-cent sales tax that built the Justice Center that was that we needed. So, and when it went away, people didn't notice.
Right.
And then when it was there, they didn't really notice. So I just think I'm in agreement with you that public safety is an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. And I think that with that being said, public safety is going to change a lot of things in this town.
Yeah.
When you know that you're going to be held accountable for an action, things are going to change.
Right. So, HL, if you could fast forward 4 years, kind of like Back to the Future, what's going on in Trinidad 4 years from now if you get elected and you can make a difference?
Well, I see us utilizing our money better. I see us being more transparent, a more community-oriented community, where the community is involved, where we have people that, can walk the Riverwalk, that stand up for one another, that respect our police officers, respect our government, where they are strong in who they are, but they're that because we live in a great community, where things are, good, where we've got restaurants and businesses opening and businesses fighting to get in here because they see how great our community is.
Right.
We have a great community now, and I'm not saying we don't, but I think there's stuff that we need to tap into.
Right. Okay. You've alluded to this a couple of times, but how familiar are you with the city budget, and what are the city's main sources of revenue and expenditures?
I'll be honest with you, Tom, I am not familiar with any of that. Like I said, I just got the email of the budget maybe about an hour and a half ago, so I haven't even had time to go over that. But I want to become familiar with that stuff in order for me to make decisions or, help to educate the public, when they call me and say, HL, hey, what's the deal? Where's our marijuana money coming from?
Right.
Or where's it going? Or, this, that. I want to be educated enough to say, hey, so-and-so, Mr. and Miss so-and-so, this is where this is going. What do you think about it? And get that input.
Right. Well, there's no demerits for not knowing. As I explained before we started, if I didn't ask the same questions of everybody, somebody would come back and say, you were trying to get them. It's like, no, we're just trying to be fair. And you're fine. Your answer's fine.
Right.
So,
in knowing that this is my first time, I've got to get that information, and I have been gathering information and talking to people, and it's going to take time for me to get familiar with this stuff, but I'm willing to do that, and that's part of, getting elected and getting in there to know this stuff.
Part of the process.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to read this one here too, but industry recruitment is very difficult for rural communities, especially ones where healthcare, education, and workforce development systems are below par. What type of business would you like to attract to Trinidad? And I guess adding one caveat, other than marijuana.
I think that any business in Trinidad is a great business. I think it's sad that we don't have any chain restaurants here. Yes, I agree with your hometown, Ristras, all those small businesses, Mooses, all those businesses, I think they're great. The new Brews and Buckets, I think that's awesome. But we also need to have restaurants that touch on breakfast, Double D's, there's another one, but with that being said, we need to utilize things like our signs. You got OB signs in Amarillo, Texas. That place is in, what is that?
Colorado City.
Colorado City. I was going to say Commerce City.
Yeah.
Colorado City. Why aren't we pushing our businesses? You head toward, Las Vegas, New Mexico, on all their exit signs. There is every restaurant that you can go to there. Why don't we have that here?
All right, this actually leads into the next question, so I'm going to go ahead and read this to you. The growth in the tourism economy has been outstanding over the last 2 years. Do you support this new tourism economy, and what will you do to continue to promote the tourism industry? Because you're already starting to answer it, so I want to jump in there and throw that out there.
Absolutely, I do support it. I think it's a great industry. It's frustrating when you go to your old fishing hole and there's 10 people around you, but on the other hand, it's great to share that. Right. There's places that I've been to, myself, that I've taken family members that come to visit, too, and they're just, amazed by the beauty that we have here in southern Colorado. But what I was saying about these signs, we need to help promote our businesses. These restaurants, let's get, a billboard that says Ristras, that says Mooses, that says Brews and Buckets, that says Double D's, Tony's, and all these. Let's get them on there so that we could promote their business, because it only benefits us. These gas stations, whatever it is that we have here, let's advertise for them. Let's bring people here. Why not?
Well, clearly then you're pro-tourism.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the city created an economic development department 2 years ago. What ideas would you have for economic development if elected?
I think that, one thing that, being that we handle our own utilities here, you know, I know we have rental assistance, and different things like that, but why not cut these businesses that are coming from grassroots, personal owned businesses, maybe a 5% break on their utilities, just till they get established,
Right.
help them get established, whatever business it is, I would like to promote openness and stuff. We lost a gun store that we had here, CNS Sports. This is a great hunting place, and I'm an avid, sportsman myself, and it's crazy that, we don't have a gun store here, that we can't utilize that business as well. I mean, why not? Hey, maybe we could get Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops, and it doesn't necessarily need to be in the city. We could do it in the county. But what kind of revenue would that generate? Look at Alamosa. Alamosa's, is huge for sporting stuff. You got businesses that are closed year round but are open just during the hunting season because the business is so big, and it's the same here.
Yeah, I know that people had looked into Cabela's, and I don't know what happened. I know it was
Well, and just,
possibility.
I know Walmart, wanted to do a distribution center here for a while, and that got shut down.
Right.
Why are we shutting this stuff down? I agree with small town stuff. It's wonderful to be able to drive down Main and make it home in 5 minutes. It's wonderful, that, you're not backed up in traffic somewhere. But we got to understand that if we're going to keep people here, they need a reason to stay. These kids, I think part of the problem with drugs is, what are they supposed to do? Right. You got 60-year employees at the, courthouse, 60-year employees at the city, and I'm not knocking them. My mom's one of those people, in Lakewood. She's been with the police department 41 years. But, there's a time when it's time to enjoy your life and enjoy
Right.
your grandkids and, pass that torch on to someone young.
Right.
And make some changes and allow them to have a career.
Right.
No one wants to, support their family off flipping burgers. And not that I have a problem with anybody flipping burgers,
Right.
but, who can survive off $10 an hour?
Yeah. Well, when I did it back in the mid '70s, it was $1 something.
Right. It
It was a long time ago. I'm getting older. So.
Right. Minimum wage, I think, was $3.50.
Yeah. That was a long time ago. Last year, the city economic development focus was on stabilizing downtown to create an attractive atmosphere for commercial businesses. We have rental assistance, facade redevelopment grants, Main Street patios, entertainment district. What's your opinion on those?
I agree, but I disagree. I think that, the patios are a great idea. I hate that it's taken parking away. I think something that needs to be thought of is maybe a parking garage downtown somewhere, 3-4 levels. That brings, money as far as construction, but it brings parking, and yes, there's probably going to have to be security in it, but it needs to happen if we're going to utilize our downtown area. The parking is hard downtown, especially when you got Bella Luna's going, you got Reester's going, and you got Moose's all on pretty much the same block, and then, the restaurant at the Bell Block as well.
Right.
It's hard to park.
Right.
And we need to make that available for people in order to utilize these businesses. Something that I, was thinking about myself, an overhead canopy of some sort with a dining area, between Moose's and Richa's or over by the Bell Block. That would be awesome, to come in town and, you see semis and other cars and all of Main Street traveling underneath you while you're dining.
So sort of like the old Las Vegas downtown?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Right. Interesting.
We're you utilize the space you have. And unfortunately we have problems with our handicap stuff, and which we have to address.
Right.
But it's something that has to be addressed. We need to take care of those people.
Okay. What about the entertainment district?
I think it's great. I think entertainment is wonderful. I live off Santa Fe Trail, so I don't ever have to buy the Blues Fest tickets. I can listen from my back porch, which is awesome.
Right.
Which I enjoy. Same with the Triggers games. I know what's going on at the Triggers games, even though I'm not there. But I think entertainment is important. I think we drive a lot of people away because we don't have enough. We need to utilize things we have. This skate park, hey, let's do something with it. Let's have a huge event there. This baseball park. Let's do stuff. I mean, concerts, whatever it is. Same with our fairgrounds. Our fairgrounds is beautiful. We need to utilize what we have here. I mean, we have a beautiful community.
Well, and we're between Denver and Albuquerque, Santa Fe Springs. Right. We're the spoke of the wheel,
right?
In a way. So I agree with you. Vacancy downtown has gone from 61% in 2015 to 2017. What would you attribute that to?
It's increased.
Vacancy has decreased from 61% in 2015 down to 29%.
Well, of course, a majority of it is, the marijuana.
Right.
Because, I've got, 4 stores right below my house, that are just, marijuana stores, which I don't have a problem with.
Right.
But we also need to utilize other businesses. Other businesses need to come in, to be more stable. How long is this going to last? How long before New Mexico legalizes it? We need to be sure that our economy is still stable if for some reason that falls out. Start utilizing the growing. I mean, the county could help with that.
Right.
And why not? Why not? What is it going to hurt? As long as you have regulations and rules and they're being abided by, why not?
Okay. The next question, again, because you haven't been on council, might be a little bit difficult, but you still might have an opinion, and that is, where should the marijuana money be spent?
I'm not familiar with everything as far as where the money is going. I'm not. And that's just the truth of the matter. I'm not. But I think that transparency needs to be there. I think, your average person needs to know, hey, we're having to play catch up because we didn't do this 20 years ago, and that's where this money is going. So I can't exactly pinpoint where it needs to go. I know our infrastructure is a big deal. I know our water line's a huge deal. We need to fix that. That's something that needs to be addressed immediately. But I can't pinpoint what needs to be addressed because I don't know exactly where it's all going because the transparency isn't there.
And that's okay. That's as good as answer as any. And we talked about this next situation before, but the water losses are 40% from the treatment plant down to town. What plans are in place to repair now, and how can we not fall behind again?
Well, I'm not,
again, that's one of the
right.
You're not there, but
right, and I'm not familiar with that, but I want to be familiar with that. And I don't want it to be on a need basis. I think it needs to be planned that by 2020 or 2025, that whole line is repaired and fixed.
Right.
Where we're not losing 40% of our water. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So what happens when the marijuana money goes away?
Well, hopefully with me supporting tourism and, small businesses, big businesses, hopefully we could get other stuff here that we're not so dependent on it. Because, what are we going to do? We saw the gas industry disappear, coal mine. This has always been one of those cities that has counted on something, whether it was the coal mine, the gas, and now, the pot industry, the hemp industry. Why aren't we utilizing that? Why not?
Right.
No one's going to get hurt from that.
Right.
They make clothing, there's ropes, tons of different stuff that you can use hemp for. Why not utilize that as well?
There's a YouTube video, Hemp for Victory. And what happened is when they outlawed it, this is my interjection here, in the 30s, then they had to go back in the early 40s after the war started because they found out that nylon didn't work on ships for rope. And so they had to grow some hemp because they were running out of hemp. It's a 12-minute video. It's worth watching.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, and it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
In a society where things have changed so much, we've got to adjust.
Yeah.
We can't stay stuck. And I saw something about I'm not going to mention a candidate's name
Right.
about being stuck in the 60s. The 60s were a great time. People had really good values back then.
Right.
So I have no objections to being stuck in the 60s. But we've got to move forward. We need to utilize what we have, and we need to teach people and give them the tools, whether it's the homeless or whether it's, the high school kid coming out of high school. We need to give them the tools to succeed. What success do we have here in Trinidad for our kids?
Yeah, I don't want to go back to the 60s. I was in diapers.
Well, I wasn't
was
here.
born.
I wasn't here yet, so.
Yeah, it was. I remember the 60s actually pretty well as a young kid growing
But I
up.
mean, the family values.
Right.
I mean, most women in the 60s were home with their kids.
Right.
It wasn't until the, late 70s, early 80s that women had to start going to work.
Right.
So, I mean, our family values have changed so much.
Right.
I think that's something that, we need to touch on, as a society. I mean, where are our kids getting mixed up? Well, there's no parenting anymore because both parents are gone just trying to make it.
Yeah, not to get off completely on a different tangent, but this is a few days after what happened in Las Vegas. And as I saw on one person talking about, when they were younger and when I was younger, you went into the school parking lot and a lot of the guys had guns in their trucks, and they, at least where I was from, they went pheasant hunting, afterwards. And it's not that the guns have changed, it's that people have changed and our society has changed.
Exactly.
But that could be a whole nother show, HL. So I don't want to get you, started.
Well, and I'm pro-gun. I mean, I am all for everyone carrying a gun. I mean, within reason.
Right.
Within reason. I mean, people need background checks, and they need to be stable.
Yeah.
In order to be carrying guns.
Yeah.
But I think that especially our criminals would second guess things.
Yeah.
I mean, are you gonna rob someone that probably has a gun?
Yeah.
Are you gonna try and carjack someone that probably has a gun in their pocket?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something to think about.
It's just unfortunate we're there.
Right.
But this is
is.
a few days after Las Vegas, and it's
Which
everybody
is terrible.
still raw.
Yeah, and
will be
shocked.
for a long time.
Yeah.
But last question before we wrap up this segment. There have been many meetings through the years with city and county elected officials, and I don't know, even though I've been there filming, I'm not sure what's come of it. What's your take on working with the county and the city, with the elected officials, to maybe improve both the city and the county?
I think it's imperative that they work together. I think that without them working together, I don't think either one could succeed. I mean, Trinidad is obviously the biggest city in the county, and I think they need to work together to try and succeed. Without one's not going to exist.
Right.
So, I mean, we have to work together. Myself, I would love to reach out to our commissioners and reach out to our other government officials and try and move things forward, because it only benefits us as a whole. I mean, we're a community, and, unfortunately we got county and city, but when it boils down to it, we're a community, and, we need to work together to try and accomplish a common goal of just living a happy life and moving
Right.
forward.
Right. I've just seen some politics, and it's unfortunate because we should be able to work together. But we're going to wrap this up, and then we're going to come back for our third segment.
Great.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now and Trinidad Times Television. We'll be right back.